Great, and I would like to thank our host, Gepardek, for providing us drinks, food, and the location. And Christoph would like to tell us a little bit about Gepardek, right?
Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you.
Yeah, also a very warm welcome from my side. I'm really happy to have you here. So many of you spend their time in this meetup, and I think we have two very interesting talks. I'm Christoph Kofler, and on my business card there's a title. It says Mountain Guide for Software Modernization. So what's a mountain guide for software modernization? Gepardek is all about software modernization right now, and a mountain guide guides you to your goals of software modernization. And one of the current things which are very important, I think, in software modernization is keeping your software, your custom software, up to date. This is what Christoph will tell you, and how you can automate this process. And perhaps 2 sentences before we start. I think there are 2 reasons why this is extremely relevant right now, to keeping your software and your dependencies up to date. One is security. So let's say you have old dependencies, vulnerable dependencies in your software, and right now typically around 60% of your software consists of dependencies. So if you have dependencies in there, you probably have vulnerabilities. And for attackers, this is a very simple way to hack the software. So this is the security reason. The second reason is compliance. The European Union established several compliance laws, I would say, which aim to enhance the cyber resilience of the European Union and all the companies. So all the companies, more or less, I would say, all the companies we work for are somehow affected by this. It's NIS2, who is aware of that? Yeah. DORA, Cyber Resilience Act, and for the automotive sector, TISAX, ISO 27000. Welcome in the club. Okay, so Gepardek is, let's say, we are indirectly affected by this because we work for companies who are have to be NIS2 compliant and DORA compliant, and these guidelines, these laws explicitly state that you have to manage your dependencies. There's no you can, you should, you have to. So it's super relevant. So welcome Christoph with his talk, auto-updating custom software to make the life for you a little bit easier.
Yeah, hello and welcome to my presentation about auto-updating custom software. My name is Christoph Ruhsam and I work at Gepardek IT Services GmbH, and I've already successfully implemented our auto-updating service for 2 customers so far, and I'm excited to introduce this innovative technology for you today. We at Gepardek specialize in developing custom software solutions tailored to our clients' needs. Many of our customers run a large number of microservices which need to be updated regularly. Manually updating these libraries costs time and money. And sometimes management won't even allow updating because, well,
Falsches Topic.
Yeah, and sometimes management won't even allow updating software because, yeah, it works as it is right now and just costs money. But what happens then? You fall behind, sometimes by multiple major versions, and the software gets outdated. Then it becomes a burden to catch up, and developers spend up countless hours of debugging errors, fixing code, setting up test environments, and solving unexpected problems. We at Gepardeck wanted to solve these version discrepancies for good. Our goal: keep software up to date, regularly, seamlessly, and reliably. So how can we accelerate the process and reduce errors? That's where our update service comes in. It combines Renovate with OpenRewrite recipes to automate version updates and even apply necessary code changes. After that, the build validation ensures that everything works as expected. If the build fails, no problem. We automatically add a dev space link to the pull request. This dev space is fully set up with everything the developer needs to debug, fix, and test the update without even needing to check out the code locally. Efficient, convenient, and developer-friendly. And in addition to that, we also monitor the security and vulnerabilities with a tool called Dependency Track. So you always know which dependencies you have and of which dependencies you got rid after the update. So that's the theory behind our auto-update service, how it works, the tools we use, and the seamless process we've created. But I know what you're already thinking about. Does it really work that smoothly? Let me show you. Here's a live demo of how Renovate, OpenRewrite, and DevSpace come together to transform a tedious update into something almost magical. Let's dive in.
One of you guys gonna sit here? Please.
Not a question.
I'm the host. I can
I know the demo.
So here we have a plain Quarkus service with version 2.16, which is pretty outdated. So we want to update this Quarkus service and apply necessary code changes. So what we have here is we configure Renovate to point at this repo. Of course, better. So we tell Renovate to look at this repository with a recommended config and let Renovate run. What Renovate then does, it creates pull requests. For example, with this one. So it creates a pull request with a version update from a Maven Surefire plugin from 3.2 to 3.5. But Renovate not only updates your Maven dependencies, but also every version it finds in your project. So for example, here we have a Docker image. It searches the whole project and creates pull requests with the newer versions. But Renovate only makes the version upgrade. But here we want to upgrade Quarkus from 2.16 to 3.18. And we all know that from Quarkus 2 to Quarkus 3, necessary code changes like the transition from Java X to Jakarta is needed to work again. So what we do in Renovate here is we tell Renovate to execute a post-upgrade task, this one, in which we execute a OpenRewrite recipe which Quarkus provides on every update and execute that directly in the Renovate. So what Renovate then does, it not only makes the version upgrade from 2.16 to 3.18, but also in the same pull request the necessary code changes for the Quarkus update. And here we have the transition from Java X to Jakarta. This alone would work, and we updated Quarkus from version 2 to version 3. But for demo purposes, we created a test that always fails to show you what we do when a build fails too. So if a build fails, so as you can see here, for every pull request, the build validation pipeline ran. and you can see this succeeded and is able to merge. But with our Quarkus request, we have an error. What we do, if we have an error, we automatically add a dev space link, which you can click on. Then it automatically updates this dev space with the right branch checked out. So you can see here we have Renovate Major Quarkus, which is our request or our branch. And what we can do here is we have pretty much everything. So we have Maven in here, we have a Java, we also have Podman in here. So we can fix the update here and commit the code changes. And what we also did for the developer to make it easier, we also define commands which the developer only needs to execute. So he doesn't even need to copy this command line from the pipeline. It just needs to execute this. So what we can do here is we can say run task, dev file, do a clean install, which of course should fail because we have a failing test. In the meantime, we can fix this failing test or fix the update more or less. Run the task again. Which succeeds, but it gets better because we also can run this service in here. So we can do a dev run, which does behind a dev run, we do a Quarkus dev and start the service in here. So we can call REST endpoints or test the service with integration tests. So we can open this one. And we have a Quarkus service up and running and can also call the REST endpoints. What we also have here is we have a live reload feature, because if we change this one, reload, so we also have live reload here. What we did and tried was we also added a database and the frontend into this dev space, including the backend, and tested the whole application at its own. So we can test the update with the whole integration, with DB and the frontend too, which really worked fine, because we also can add environment variables into this one and test the whole integration. So that's it.
In which scenarios is this useful? Because I have it anyway on my developer notebook.
It's most useful when you have a lot of microservices, for example, 3 to 400, for example, and not every developer has checked out the code locally and needs to update the service. So I wouldn't really recommend implementing in here, because IntelliJ is better, of course, but if you just need to fix an update and don't want to check out the code locally and set up everything, including environments, including code setup and everything, you just need to click on this link and you have everything set up with predefined commands. So yeah. Yeah. So what are the benefits of this service? Benefits are updates happen faster with fewer manual steps. The process is less error prone and the developers can fix issues directly in the dev space without having to set up the code locally. This means the developer can be more productive, focusing on implementing features instead of spending time updating services. And there's another key advantage. We integrate the service directly into the customer CI/CD pipeline. So it's not a product that runs at Gepardec and accesses your repos externally. It runs entirely in your environment. Yeah. And yeah, but of course there are also some challenges because at first the initial setup can be complex because the CI/CD pipeline at every customer and application landscape are different. So we need time for initial setup because we match the service to tailor the specific needs of this customer. And yeah, one of the most critical aspects are tests. So since updates are automated, we rely on the build pipeline to validate everything works as expected. So to ensure this, a good test coverage is essential. At the last point, I want to dig a bit deeper into OpenRewrite recipes and how we can execute them. So what is an OpenRewrite recipe? It's the basic unit of OpenRewrite and takes on a subtask of a migration, like changing the namespace from JavaX to Jakarta. OpenRewrite also provides a recipe catalog where you can find all sorts of recipes in different languages, and yeah, it can be found on docs.openrewrite.org/recipes. So how can we execute these recipes now? With Maven, you just need to add the Rewrite Maven plugin in your POM and add the recipe you want to execute into the active recipe section, and then just execute Maven rewrite run. So, but let's see this in action because I also brought the live demo for that. So if we head back to our dev space, we see that I already added the Rewrite Maven plugin with the active recipe JUnit 5 best practices. So what we want to do here is we want to migrate JUnit 4 to JUnit 5 with best practices. And we also have a dependency on JUnit 4 with a test with JUnit 4 annotations. So these are JUnit 4 annotations. Yeah, and we just want to stop the service first and execute Maven rewrite run. While this runs, I want to show you, so we have here docs.openrewrite.org where you can see all sorts of recipes. And in a recipe, you have a recipe list which recipes get executed if you execute this recipe. So you can dig deeper into that one. So we see here that this executes use YMOC extension, ignore the disabled. And if we look into this one, so you can see you can dig deep into the recipes. And this one just makes a change type from org JUnit ignore to JUnit Jupyter disabled. Yeah, in the meantime, this should be done, yeah. So if we look at our changes, in our changes we have a removal of the JUnit 4 dependency. And normally it would have added JUnit 5, but it recognizes that we have that already in our dependencies, so no need to add that. And we have our JUnit 4 test, where it changes the imports to the JUnit 5 tests, or JUnit 5 imports, changes the before to before each, after to after each, and also makes best practices. So it removes the public on class level, removes the public on method level, and also removes the test prefix here. So yeah, we just migrated from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5. So normally I would end my presentation here, but I forgot to mention our dependency track tool before. What we have here, so basically when every build that runs, we add a generation of an SBOM into our pipeline, and we push that SBOM into dependency track. And what we see here is we have our service here, which is called Mega Backend, and we have our vulnerabilities and the history of our vulnerabilities and how we got new ones, lost some, got new ones here. We also can see all our components with the version. It also says that this version is outdated and there's a new one. We also have a dependency graph if you want to dig deeper into some of the dependencies. And we have audit vulnerabilities. So here it shows us all vulnerabilities we have, and that's the outdated component. We also can look into the CVE and see an overview, see the base core, EPSS cores, so everything we need here. And we also have exploit predictions, so how much it's likely to be exploited, the CV, with these cores again. So on every update we do, we push this SBOM into the dependency track, and not only we as developers see that we have vulnerabilities, but also management or security team can look into this tool. Yeah. Yeah, my repository is open source on GitHub. Feel free to explore it, fork it, try it out. I'm looking forward to the networking part later. But for now, any questions?
Your repository is where the dependency tool was?
So
Could you just show?
yeah, this is my GitHub, and if you look into here we have the Quarkus service. And here's also the Renovate. So you have both on there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fork it, you need to change this one. Yeah.
Does OpenRewrite only work with Java or only with .xx?
No, OpenRewrite has a whole palette of so you also see here C#, Docker, .NET, sorry, Gradle, Hibernate, so pretty much everything. And if you want to see how a recipe in Java is written, you can also search that on GitHub OpenRewrite. And you can write your own if you want. Yeah.
Who provides those OpenRewrite recipes?
I think the community, but I think Christoph Kufler can say more here.
Yeah, OpenRewrite is an open source project, actually founded from Moderne. This is like the company behind them. And some recipes are provided by Moderne, some are provided by the community. Actually, they have quite new. They have different licenses for what you can use them. So basically, you can use everything, but you must not build a public service out of it and earn money with self-cooperative. And so the company Moderne behind is they focus on, the commercial product is focusing on updating hundreds of repositories, really for large scale enterprises. But you can use the single recipes.
Yeah.
This code spaces thing that you showed, I guess it's an OpenShift feature.
Yeah, that runs in OpenShift and yeah.
Does it, because you said you add such a link to every pull request, does it like pre-allocate these resources? For example, if I have a rather complex, let's say, dev setup that needs a database and so on?
No, it creates the dev space directly if you click on that link.
Okay.
So you need
So
to
I have
wait
100
2 to 3 minutes that is all set up.
So
But
if
it doesn't need resources if you add this link.
And does it also like clean it up if it's not used? for
Sorry?
some time? Does it also like discard it if it's not used for some time?
Yeah, it does. I think after an hour or so, I guess. So before a meetup, you need to regularly check if it's. Or you have to wait 3 minutes.
No long lunch breaks.
Yeah.
Otherwise your changes are gone.
Yeah.
Do you have some experience or can give some feedback how the developer accept those central service for auto or updating their own code? Because never touch my code, it's my code.
Yeah, we can pretty much separate things because we don't really touch code because we run recipes, and if the service breaks, we need to fix the service. If it's if we don't need that background from the developers. But I didn't receive any negative feedback on that so far, so
I think the major point is the team has to be very good, because if it makes the feature teams just problems, they will kick it out. So, and if it works, it's nice because all the updates are there.
What are you using as CI/CD? So the GitHub.
here we use GitHub Actions, but we also implemented a custom Bitbucket with Jenkins. We also did GitLab. Yeah. And also Azure pipelines. So we tailor the service to the customer's needs. Yeah.
Do you have some experiences at which scale make it sense to do this automation of dependencies? Is it worth with 5 repos, or as you said, you have some initial costs to spend?
Yeah, setting up the Renovate and OpenRewrite, of course, costs time. We did it at a customer with approximately 30 microservices, but I think it's worth just for 10 also, because you have the safety of OpenRewrite, and Renovate runs every day and also creates new pull requests. So if you don't have that, you need to check manually every day or every week. Is there a new update? We need to update. And so Renovate just creates the pull request with including the rewrite changes. and you have it for free.
You were just mentioning the safetiness of the OpenRewrite. So you have never experienced any, let's call it fuck up that did to your code or something? Because it sounds like a cool thing, but
not really so far. Sometimes there are also manual code changes, but for example, Quarkus tells you in the. We also can look at that one. We can look into this. You also have the release notes here. And Quarkus also tells you in the release notes which steps in the migration guide, which steps are automated with the OpenRewrite recipe and which steps you need to do manually. So there are also steps you need to do manually, but it tells you which ones.
That's basically for Quarkus.
Yeah, that's for Quarkus. If you want to do a Hibernate update, you have to look into the Hibernate documentation. Yeah.
Basically, a follow-up question to that. So there's no real integration between the Renovate Bot and the OpenRewrite part, right? So basically, I would need to onboard an OpenRewrite recipe for every dependency that I have. Because, like, let's say there's a, I don't know, like Jackson major update. That's something that wouldn't be covered by the.
Yeah, for this configuration, but we also upgraded this configuration where we let Renovate create the pull request without doing OpenRewrite recipe changes, and we pick up this pull request. So we get a naked pull request with the version update, and also get a branch from this one. So here it's OpenRewrite. We pick up the branch, trigger another pipeline, look into this one and search in OpenRewrite if there's a recipe and create a new pull request with the version update and the recipe change. So we open another pull request, and if that's merged, Renovate closes itself, its pull request. So no need to close this one, and we open a new one.
Did I get that right, that you are dynamically looking for the right recipes? Or did I?
Yeah.
Understood? Oh,
So
cool.
yeah.
That's nice. So if you add a new library,
Yeah, we have
then
here
this will
the
automatically.
we have here in the pull request, in the branch name, we have the group ID, the artifact ID, and the version, and we look for the group ID and artifact ID if there's a rewrite recipe for that, and create a new pull request with these changes. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.